Mr. Williams, you have to call the roll.
Yes. President.
Present.
Councilperson Henricks. Here. Councilperson Farrell. Nobody's absent. Councilperson Carroll.
Present.
Councilperson East.
Here.
Councilperson Charles.
Here.
Councilperson Knapp. Present. Mr. President, other members of council also present this evening are Mayor Jeff Reed. I know that Junior Councilperson Jonah Neff is excused. Jonah Markle is excused this evening. Thank you. Also in attendance is Robert Kravitz, Sherry Solicitor, Sherry Badman, Assistant Borough Manager and Treasurer, Shelley Weaver, Administrative Assistant, and myself, Paul Williams, Borough Manager. Mr. President, you have a quorum. President, hold the meeting this evening.
Thank you. Those present who, if you have not yet signed in, particularly if you wish to be heard, if you can only sign in, that should be passed up to me. Anybody that is coming?
I believe so.
All right. Let's take a moment for a silent reflection or prayer. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
With council, the minutes of the June 6th meeting are in your packet. We have a motion to approve or correct them.
Motion to accept.
Second. Moved and seconded. A discussion? All in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. This brings us to public comment period. I see Mike Fisher here. I think he perhaps wants to make comment this evening.
Yes, I'm also on the agenda. I can do it now, or wait until further down on the agenda, whatever your wishes are.
He's number 3 under finance.
We'll take you under finance then.
Okay.
Thank you. I don't see Gary Reiner here from the fire company. Yes.
Okay, please excuse last month. We were in the middle of a changeover on our reporting system. We no longer use software called Firehouse, which does all of our reporting and tracks our inventories and the whole 9 yards. We went to an online-based system called emergency reporting. We don't have to back up anything at the fire station anymore. It goes to 3 different sites around the United States. In the event that one has an issue, we're good. I can access it anywhere where I have a Wi-Fi connection and it's all secured. So with that being said, I was doing the changeover last month, so I have both reports. I'll get over on this. The other nice thing about this new system is I no longer have to submit things to FEMA in batches. Every time I hit submit, it goes right to FEMA, which will give us a better chance of getting grants. So for May, we had 33 calls. We had 2 in Chapman Township, 10 in Monroe Township, 10 in Penn Township, 7 in Selinsgrove Borough, 1 in Shamokin Dam Borough, 2 in Union Township, and 1 in Washington Township, for a total of 79 man-hours. Now these man-hours, they're a little different than what you would get previously. These are strictly for incidents. I'm still working on trying to figure out how to get them on like pool fills, events at the firehouse, and so on and so forth. Which brings us to this month. We had 23 calls for the month. We had 2 in Jackson Township, 4 in Monroe Township, 6 in Penn Township, 6 in Selinsgrove Borough, 2 in the city of Sunbury, 1 in Union Township, and 2 in Washington Township, for a total of 75.58 man-hours. Any questions?
I'd like to look at the new report. I look forward to when you get giving us even more data.
Yeah, it does. There's so many other things that I'm still learning about. It's a work in progress. It could be up until, you know, the next year, until everything is set and ready to go. But it's gonna benefit us, and it benefits me because I do all the reporting, so, you know, it doesn't take me as long, so.
Understood.
True, is this going to be universal? Is all the departments going to go to this?
The state of Pennsylvania went to this system. It's right now on an option basis. Some departments do. I believe in Snyder County, with including us, there's 5 so far that have done the changeover. We had to pay for Firehouse. This one, we don't have to pay as much. We only have to pay for the modules that Pennsylvania doesn't pay for us, which is like our inventory, so that we can track every hose, every nozzle, the whole 9 yards. We can track it on the vehicles, where it's at, what year it was purchased, when it's up for replacement. So.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you very much.
Or just to share some information back with you.
Okay.
The street project for 2016 should have started today.
Okay.
Broad Street, it's HRI is the contractor, and after they replace or repair about 24 inlets, we'll be milling and paving Broad Street. Project completion, of course, before school opens. And are you aware of the dates of the so-called heavy haul across the bridge for the PPL plant?
I was under the understanding, now I've been at work the past 2 days. I work 2 hours away. But I was under the understanding it had already been completed. I know it was scheduled for 1 day, and they couldn't get the required permits or something of the sort. So it was supposed to be the next day, and from what I understand, I wasn't given any intel saying that it didn't happen.
Can I provide you with some information?
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Drew.
Yeah, you're welcome.
We also have in our packets minutes from the Selinsgrove project board meeting. As well, Selinsgrove Chamber of Commerce minutes from May are in our, question.
Well, just comment on the Chamber's minutes. 2 typos in there. First thing is the Chamber Award that was given to Nicholas Conrad. That's for 2016. He was a recent graduate and a good kid. And then the very last statement, the Logan Howe Benefit Wiffle Ball Tournament will be held on July 30th.
Oh, 30th.
And that's up at Penn Township. It's, I believe it's $50 for a team to enter, and a team consists of 8 players. There's all 8 planned for that. But that is July 30th.
And all proceeds go to the Logan Howe Fund.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you, Shane. Selinsgrove area recreation, Mr. Reese, comments on the pool?
No report this month.
Parks and Recreation, I don't see Megan Heil here today, but we do have
No, there was no report.
no report in the packet.
No.
Okay. Which brings us to others in attendance who would like to be heard this evening. Recognized. Representing
I'm
Chamber tonight.
here to listen for the chamber, that's my job. Thanks.
Certainly welcome. That brings us to committee and board reports. We'll begin with Mr. Charles, Finance and Budget.
Okay, we met this afternoon at 1 o'clock and reviewed all the bills, and there was nothing abnormal. I make a motion that we pay the bills as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. No discussion. All in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
There are no statewide tax recovery exonerations this month. If we want, I can skip ahead to number 4, number 5. We have some new items, and then we can give the floor to Mr. Fisher, and then we'll be done with the Finance Committee, if that's all right with you.
Fine.
We don't have a lot. In your packet, We have the blue paper on the, from the Cohen Law Group. If you reviewed that, it has to do with contracting with them to help prepare an ordinance for projects in the utility right away. Right now, mostly outfits coming in, since it's in the public right away, they want to put cell extensions on telephone poles. So this proposal is to help us prepare to deal with this. Yes, Vince has a question.
I'd like to speak to that topic. That wasn't clearly made aware in the minutes that were presented, so there's no way I could have prepared for that.
Speak for the podium.
I didn't know you guys were going to be considering looking at preparing an ordinance tonight, otherwise I would have made more robust prepared comments, but there's no reason to believe at this time that there's a need for an ordinance. First, you need to figure out whether or not there's a need for an ordinance before you jump ahead and just decide, okay, we need to create more rules. If this is going to be a different set of rules than the electric company or the gas company or whatever, we need to justify that there needs to be a separate rule for them first before we even go about creating a rule. Spending $5,400, while maybe a reasonable fee for legal services, is still $5,400 in taxpayer money that you need to justify even bothering to spend before you agree to spend it. So just
To answer your comments, we've had a company come and tell us that they went to.
I'm totally aware, I got all the pictures, I saw all the
Okay.
schematics, I saw all that, but right now.
And right now, we have no control unless we have an ordinance. They can come in and do anything they want to right
Just like
away.
the electric company, just like the electric company. Just like the electric company. They can come in and do whatever they want, just like the electric company, just like the gas company, just like anybody else using the right of ways for utility. So before you start changing and creating special ordinances for new technology, and then we end up with having 30 different ordinances for 30 different types of technology, consider whether or not the current ordinance is applicable to what's there, or even if we need to create an ordinance at all. Just encouraging you to take a step back and breathe before we start throwing walls around. That's all.
And you were there, and I think that's what we're trying to do, is we're trying to address, just like you're saying, you know, gas and all these other people. We don't have anything in the right of way now. So what we're trying to do is give us some leverage to address that. And to do that, we have to come up with this, and this company deals with that. And that's why, as you well know at the meeting, they're the ones that do this on a regular basis. And
there's been no problem identified.
but there's going to be, because of the technology you're talking about, we don't know in the right of way what's going to come down the road. So we want to make, yes, you're right in the sense that we're putting the cart before the horse, but we already starting to see that we have a right of way issues that we were not aware of. That all of a sudden, this company found a, shall I say, a loophole that they could start coming in and putting towers. Well, what's the next person going to come in and decide to put a tower in front of your house? And then, why are we allowing this to happen? We have telephone poles. They want to put poles as well as use existing telephone poles. So we were talking about things where, can we regulate that they can only use alleyways? You know, so by creating an ordinance, it will help us, guide us, and maybe give us some leverage with the right of ways. So I hope I'm making it simple.
I understand what you're saying. The problem is that the purpose of government is not to seek leverage over businesses. The purpose of government is to make sure that businesses aren't harming anybody. There's no demonstrated harm here yet.
Well, but again,
all I'm doing is encouraging you
Right.
to take a step back
Okay.
and just pause for a minute before you spend $5,400 on a problem that doesn't necessarily exist.
okay. All right, thank you.
Well, why would we, they're proposing to put poles on streets where there are no poles. When the utility runs down the alley, why would we want someone to put a pole on a street where there's no other poles on that street, and 75, 100 feet away, or the utility poles don't go down the alley? We're also looking at the interest of our people in the borough.
So
Why
just
would
taking
you encourage them to put it on existing poles
Totally-
instead of put new ones in?
Totally cool. So let me make a suggestion to you. Rather than creating an ordinance that's going to prevent new technology from coming to Selinsgrove and helping us be competitive in the 21st century, we just consider where the right-of-ways are. Maybe you change where the right-of-ways are. And you get rid of the ones that you don't have. You don't need to spend $5,400 to go through and say there's nobody utilizing this right of way. You can do that with a map.
Mr. President,
not a-
can I make a comment? This proposal is not just to perhaps address the right-of-way issue. It's all wireless facilities. You know, it could be new proposed towers, it could be a monopole. In this case, it could be a structure within the rights-of-way. Cohen actually made a proposal to the borough back in 2014 after we completed the work on assisting us with our negotiations with Service Electric Cablevision. At that time, the borough council opted not to take that course. I think the proposal back then was $6,000. Mr. Stoops is correct. I mean, technology is changing, and we really don't know what is coming forth down the road. But by having something in place with zoning, it might give us some control. And right now, we just don't have those controls in place.
This is annoying, by the way. One of the top responses at that SWOT analysis that we did is that the zoning and red tape in this borough is overly intrusive and heavy-handed. So before you go about creating new zoning rules and new red tape just to collect fees, perhaps take a step back, consider whether or not we really need to spend $5,400 to create more laws that are already a problem.
So was there a motion? Did we make a motion?
No. After reviewing this, I make a motion that we approve the Cohen Law Group service agreement for the wireless facilities for $5,400.
Second. This includes helping us with a response to the current wireless company.
It would cover that.
Covers that as well. Any other questions or comments before we take the vote? All in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Everyone received the second quarter for you, if anyone has any questions, it shows at the end of 6 months we do have a surplus. A lot of that surplus is because of the Broad Street program. We had a lot more people than normal put their own sidewalk and curbing in, and we have to budget the money, have the money budgeted to do that, so we do have a surplus, although a lot of that will go into next year's street program. So if you have any questions, look that over, and when you see the surplus, that's with the majority of it.
So I guess we return to number 3.
No, we have one other item. We have this, we have a quote to approve the quote, the shelter, the dome roof 3-sided shelter for down at the bus stop down by, right by the edge of the parking lot at Sharon Lutheran Church and State Farm. And we reviewed this, and we do have the money. It wasn't budgeted this year, but we do have the money in the general fund to pay for this. So I make a motion to approve the purchase of the shelter for the bus stop by Sharon Lutheran Church. It's $3,400 plus shipping, and the borough crew is going to assemble it and put it in place.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion on this motion? All in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And now I think we're, the CDCOG, we have a contract to be considered.
Good evening, Council. Yes, you should have before you the contract that we submitted to staff to administer and deliver your program that we've been discussing for several months now to raise properties and also rehabilitate the properties that have been impacted repeatedly by the floodwaters of 2011. We have done some outreach to the neighborhoods. We have our first 3 applications officially of homeowners down there. 2 of the 3, at least preliminarily, look like they're eligible. We will vet the third one just to make double sure that they are not over income. But we're ready to go, and we'll probably start interviewing those two homeowners either this week or next week for their actual formal application approval. We'll also start our outreach for contractor participation probably in the next couple of weeks as well, so that we can get a pre-approved contractor list that we discussed previously as part of your guidelines to participate. So before you is the service agreement for professional services for CEDACOG. They will be, 100% of those funds will be coming from the grant, pay for those services. The delivery costs, which is the cost associated to go paying for the majority of our services, plus the engineer, when we do have a house that we're going to raise, we have secured, CEDACOG has secured the services of Stahl Schaefer, and that will be at $8,300 per unit, up to $183. It may be less, but it will be up to $83. And so whatever that bill will be, we'll be passing that cost on to you. We won't be marking it up. It's just straight, pass through. So those delivery costs associated with or compared with the $414,000 that's budgeted that would go out to the actual construction represents about 14% of that cost. It's about 14.6%. So are there any questions relative to that agreement?
For the three applicants, define where elevation is what's expected to happen.
That has been their, what they've expressed to us. Now, we haven't actually gone out there and scoped out the project to see if it's feasible and to re-verify. It's on paper, they said they were interested in elevating their property.
No word on when the new flood mapping will be coming out. That's still out there somewhere to say what the elevation to meet the standards, what we're based on is, what is it?
The best available data? Yeah, the engineer has been instructed to use that the best available data that's out there that is, I guess, based upon what has been used by the various Army Corps and FEMA people that will eventually be supposedly your revised 100-year floodplain map whenever that may become official. But so that we are trying to do our level best to give those folks down there that will participate the absolute break on insurance, FEMA insurance. So by going with the best available data and even building in a margin above that, we hope that when you do have a change in your floodplain, that those folks won't recognize a different rate because, whoops, we didn't do it right. So we're trying to do the best we can with the technology or the science that's out there now. Yes?
So what you're saying is, if people need to go up 6 feet to be 1.5 feet above the floodplain, the 100-year floodplain, but they want to go a full 8 feet, we'll pay for the full 8 feet?
Well, what we said that you currently are saying is you're going to give them or provide them up to $150,000, assuming that they need that much. And we're going to take each project one step at a time. We don't know how much this is going to cost. So when we take a look at the first one, let's just say it comes in at $100,000 and we're going to go that 8 feet scenario. Yes, we would do that. The second project comes in, we get the engineer involved, we get my rehab people involved, and we come up with an estimate of $170,000. The state has already said that their limit is $150,000, but they've also said we don't have any real experience. We don't know how much it's costing, what's going to cost. We're actually guessing that $150,000. So the door has been left open for us to go and have conversation with them based upon getting some, I don't want to use the word hard numbers, because hard numbers in my mind, it's put out the bid, and we have a contract that says we're gonna do this for $180,000. What we wanna do is get the engineer on board, get our people on board, come up with an estimate. And if we come up with $180,000, then we're gonna put a stop. We're gonna have a conversation with the state. And if the state gives us a thumbs up to proceed, then we're gonna come back and have a conversation with you folks to make sure you're comfortable with going up to 180,000 as opposed to 150,000. Yes, sir.
Would they, if the state would come back and say nothing over 150, would the homeowner be able to throw on another 30 grand to get to that 180?
I would not know that. That would be a conversation that we would certainly be having with the homeowner. And if the homeowner said that they could come up with that, what we would do is that we would make sure that that homeowner escrows those funds with the borough so that we have assurance that that money's there, so that everybody's protected. Yes?
The contract that we're going to take a vote on to sign
Yes.
has, I think you said 14% is the overhead, including the estimated engineers.
That is correct, yes.
Is that within a DCED, CDBG program guideline?
There really isn't any guidelines on that per se. The best thing I can say in terms of an analogy is that when you go out and you would do an infrastructure project and you do some engineering services, generally, I believe that that is somewhere in the neighborhood of 18% or less. Would you agree?
Somewhere around 15%.
Yeah.
That's correct.
So, you know, we feel comfortable that we're in that reasonableness level of percentage of the delivery service to the total construction cost, more or less.
So I presume that they'll look at this at the end.
Well, they've already approved on your budget. You have a contract, and in your contract, that 60,000 and some change for delivery has already been approved. So it's part and parcel of your contract. So that has already been somewhat vetted by the state. So you should be comfortable with that. Yes.
You had said before that the reason you're using engineer costs is because everyone involved really doesn't know what they're doing. But is it possible that, I mean, experience-wise, doesn't have the experience, is it possible that the contractor doing it, say we do this again, and the contractor obviously knows what they're doing, would engineering costs, would engineers even be needed then?
What we need to do is we need to demonstrate that we're putting this out to bid on a competitive basis, and by doing that, we need a fairly black and white, straightforward specification. And if we left it up to the contractor to provide us with the scope of services, I don't really know how we would be able to legitimately come up with a competitive bidding process that would have a fair, clear, objective spec that would be put in front of the competitive, but a good idea, yeah. But that is in part why we're doing that. And the other part is, as I said before, we are not licensed engineers, and we're talking about some structural stuff. And so, from a liability standpoint, since we are raising buildings up, and we need to tie the utilities back into the property itself, we felt that it would be really prudent to have a professional engineer, as you're doing right now with your PEMA monies, although a little bit different slant there.
Yeah.
Other questions? You ready for a motion?
Yes. I make a motion that we approve the professional services agreement with Cedar Carl.
Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion on the motion? All in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, thank you. We'll definitely keep you informed. Certainly keep staff informed, but if we need to come back in front of you, we'll be here.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And that's it from Finance Committee.
All right, thank you. Brings us to public facilities, Mr. Hendricks.
There is no report.
Borough Borough Administration and Property, Mr. Carroll.
Not at this time. Any Paul, do we have anything? I think that was it.
Community activities and public affairs, Mr. Reese.
Yeah, I have a couple of things here. First one is a request to close the road Raspberry Alley from River Alley to Front Street from Chestnut to Borough Line, Saturday, July 16th and the 17th as a rain date, from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. for a block party. I know Tom Garlock has been notified of long as well as Don Weir. This is probably going to end up being like an annual event. It's the weekend of the Hops, Vines, and Wines. I make a motion that we approve this.
There's a motion made. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
And second. Further discussion? All in favor, give consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries.
Oh, I have a question.
Abstain.
Oh, an abstention. Okay. Mr. Andrews.
Okay, the second application for street closure I have is University Avenue, which is also Saturday, July 16th, from 6 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. for the Hops, Vines, and Wines Festival. This has pretty much already been approved in January as an annual event. I know for a fact everything is in line, so I make a motion that we accept this.
I second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries.
And that's all I have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Reese. Comes us to personnel management. That's me. We have no report this month, although I guess I can, as a point of information, for our junior council member, we now have expressions of interest from 2 people. And so the personnel committee, with your approval, will consider it, probably interview possibly, and then come back with a report. In order to take, this person would begin first meeting in September, and so we would take action on it in August. This means that we may need to get together briefly before the end of this month. Okay. Brings us to Public Safety Committee, Mr. Neff.
No report.
Planning Commission, is there any report there?
I don't have anything, no.
Zoning Hearing Board,
No meeting.
no meeting. Civil Service,
No update there either.
okay.
Then the Shade Tree Commission did not meet.
Brings us to administrative reports. Mr. Mayor, Jeffrey.
Everybody's got a copy of the monthly report for May. Nothing unusual out of the ordinary.
Some of the officers got those confirmations.
Yeah.
Did you know that?
They've not been given them yet, as of yet. They will probably receive them tomorrow or the next day.
And the other officer that left is being sent.
That's why I should make note of that. The citations for the arrest made here on Bow Street.
Any thought to presenting their awards to them during next month's council meeting? I believe we've done that in the past during a council meeting.
I was wondering that. I didn't question if the chief was going to do that personally. I guess it is.
Well, he did that, I want to say it was 4 or 5 years ago, he did that during a council meeting. I think it would be appropriate, so we can recognize.
I agree with you, I do. The thought crossed my mind, and it just didn't come out of my mouth when we were talking today.
Actually, I have a question because I don't know much about the unit citation process. Is that a determination made by our chief of police?
I believe so, yes, and they get a card they can put on their uniform to wear, saying that they received.
It's not done very often.
No.
Okay. So it's a significant.
I think they're individual and unit citations being given out.
They're calling it a Class A commendation.
Well, that's for the Class A uniform.
Yeah. And a unit citation.
Anything else from the mayor? Just to Borough Solicitor.
Just, we'll have 3 items to talk over in executive session, all involving, one's litigation, two's litigation, and the third one is possible litigation.
Okay. We can do that at the end of the meeting?
Yes.
In your packet, there are 2 letters from the borough engineer giving one from Kuchar's as a report, also one on Larson Design and Plumbing report. Our treasurer, Sharon Kennedy.
Everybody has a copy of the monthly report for June. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to stop by the office.
Motion to accept.
Second. Discussion on that. All in favor, give your consent by saying aye.
Aye.
Carries. Borough manager report, Mr. Williams.
Just have a copy of my reports on the green sheet, some items indicated by date. July 5th, today, Tuesday, July 5th, HRI, the contractor for the 2016 street project, intended to mobilize. To be honest with you, I don't know that that was performed. I know that they did do some soft cutting of the pavement surfaces about 10 days ago. So some of the first work that you're going to see is the neat cut of the pavement surface, a neat cut, a saw cut. They're going to be working on inlets. Some of those are repairs, some of those are replacements, some of them are new. All in advance of work to mill and resurface Broad Street, and hopefully wind up with a roadway that drains better than it does today. The other thing I want to mention is on June 29th, there was a seminar hosted by PEP and PPL. It was up at the Coldwell Consistory in Williamsburg. There was a session to learn about converting the streetlights from what they are now, high pressure sodium, to LED. And should there be enough of a, I'm going to call it carrot and a stick to do that, that's yet to be determined. Right now we lease our streetlights, not the green ones, but the standard ones from PPL. And in exchange, they do maintain them for us. So we need to look at either borough-wide or even a segment of the borough. Does it make sense to go with the LED? I want to say that some of the photography that they showed in certain places where this was done on certain streets, apparently law enforcement really likes the LED lighting because even at nighttime you can see colors, natural colors. Under the high pressure sodium, it might be said that some of those colors are not true. A red car, you may not be able to discern that it is red. It might be some other shade, but truly under LED, it's very, very visible. And but there is a pretty simple conversion factor, like 100 watt, or I think it's 100 lumen high pressure sodium is equivalent to the 70 lumen LED. So more to come on that. And Grant, I see
I have stuff
you're
to add to
interested here.
I had, when we redid an intersection in Sunbury, 2nd and Chestnut, and the lights that were sent were 2 LED luminaires over the high pressure sodium, the orange ones. The orange is meant to cut fog and to not overwhelm your eyes as you're at night. But the LED ones, PennDOT doesn't like them right now. But I don't know if they have the ability to stop PP&L from doing it. I just saw in Danville today in front of the Y's on 54, they're all LED up there. So I don't know. That's a match between them of who has power over them. I just know PennDOT, they didn't slap our hands, but they just made comment about it when we put those in at that intersection. And then I had read a news report about these lights, and it was just one news report that I don't know if you know you're not supposed to use your cell phone and electronic devices before you go to bed, because the one light in was a blue light, and it triggers your brain to be awake. And these new LED lights have that light. So there have been just little whispers about people with insomnia and not being able to sleep because of these. It's called blue light.
I thought the orange was also because of the, those moths that always fly, they congregate with a real brightness, you know?
Oh, that could be true too. I mean, they still congregate around the orange lights too. So.
Okay.
But that's just stuff to think about. I don't know what it's like.
Mr. Ornetsky and other members of council, the street improvement project, I should say, the streetscape project, that is the ornamental street light project, is going well. I'm going to say that it's on schedule. The completion date is August 26th. As I understand, we're still really waiting for the supplies to come in.
Yes,
the posts and the lamps, the fixtures.
Right, and that actually, our completion date is the end of July, because there's a 30-day burn on it.
Close out here.
That they have to be on for 30 days straight.
Okay.
Right now, we're waiting on wire, which I plan on pulling on Monday, and then the street lights are being sent out on the 7th.
Great.
So, and they're really, really light. One person can put them up, so I figured we could knock out a bunch of them.
So it's progressing nicely.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I'd just like to put on the record, Kay Spiegelmeyer, gazebo, had a really good turnout. I was able to come down there a little later. We had, the chief had the meeting, the community meeting that same night, so I tried to stay with that and then get down there, but they presented her with a nice award and what have you for dedication to service. So just wanted to make sure we put that on the record. Again, we mentioned it last month and seeing if anybody would come out. It seemed to be very well attended, and I think she was very pleased with that.
3 consecutive Tuesdays, we've had concerts.
I know, without rain.
Last week was
That's great. Even the movies at night. That's trade well this year. Brings us to zoning. Your report there, and Parks and Recreation. Terrace Beyond, well, there's a report in the package green. Looks like Mackenzie's picking up and running very well. We were that up last season. Any questions or comments about that?
I do have a question. Maybe it's not even has anything to do with Parks and Rec. Whatever happened with putting the roof over the stage here? Does anyone know the status?
Yeah, well, I read that in the spy.
Oh, it's in the spy.
Yeah, it's in there, very brief, doesn't tell us a whole lot, but I know they raised some money, I don't know if they raised all the money they need to do that, but it's still actively being pursued.
Right. I know the Frank Wicker Band was set up here on Thursday, and I don't know, when I was walking by, and I know between the time they set up and the time they started playing, it rained, and I didn't know what they had to do to scramble around to cover things up.
They called me at 5 o'clock.
Oh, really? To come help them close up, or?
No, they called me to make sure, they said we're just stupid musicians. We don't have any, forgot to bring tarps.
Oh,
And
okay.
Frank knows me, so he called me,
Right.
bring some tarps down.
Okay, I was wondering
So
what
I
they
brought
did.
tarps with plastic down and had enough to cover everything
Good.
on my own.
Because it did end up playing that too. It was just
Yeah,
a
it was
little
about
delayed.
about a 20-minute rain shower delayed until they got started.
Okay.
Yeah, my understanding is there's some internal turmoil on how much to spend on the cover. Somebody wants to go very elaborate and very costly. And we get done a little bit more conservatively in price-wise.
Yeah.
No, and there's one other thing to consider too, is if you're covering the stage area to keep the rain off the
You get sides to
How
dry
many
down.
people are gonna be sitting out in the rain watching it? You know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there's other things to discuss to get that finalized.
Yeah.
All right. Brings us to Selinsgrove Municipal Authority. There's no report there. In your packet, we have the minutes from Eastern Snyder County Regional Authority. Meeting minutes. And next would be Northeastern Snyder County Joint Authority, No report there, let's see. That brings us to new business. Any council members have new business to bring before the council? Mr. Mayor, do you have any new business to bring?
No.
I'll miss.
Okay, so we have a long tradition. I make a suggestion, somebody makes some sort of naysaying comment, it takes a year, and then it ends up getting embraced anyway. AmeriCorps worker, bunch of stuff in Parks and Rec, list goes on and on. I'd like to avoid that this time and just make a suggestion. The last planning meeting, it was brought up about not having students involved in our municipal government, specifically the SU students, and how we're not getting them to come to meetings, they're not actively being participating in the community like they used to, and there was a simple solution suggested. And I'd like to make that suggestion again tonight to encourage you to embrace it for the fall. We send out a newsletter, what, twice a year, 4 times a year, whatever it works out to be. The students don't get a copy of that. All right, it's not delivered to the students at SU. So we're explicitly telling them, hey, we don't think enough of you as members of our community that we'll let you participate by at least giving you what we give to every other resident. Easy, free solution. Convert it to PDF, which it probably already is. Email it to Mike Coyne, who's already good buddies with the council, and have him send it out to every student in an email. Instantly, they're involved in our community. And it's free, it won't cost you anything, and it makes them at least know that, hey, we're inviting you to be part of our community. So I want to make that suggestion to council to consider for the fall newsletter, or whatever the next winter newsletter, whatever the next newsletter is. But I brought it up to the planning commission, Pete and I talked about it a little bit, and it's a free solution that won't cost you anything more than sending an email.
Thank you.
And as we talked, I think one of the other things we talked about was the town of Gown. And I don't know if the town of that's Smith and Neff, I don't know if you're planning on one, but maybe before the fall comes, maybe that's another opportunity to go up and, break some more ice and what have you, see where things are going. So, they're doing the new building up there as well, see where that's going. And then maybe bring that up, at the time that, maybe this is another way we can send out to the students so that they can be involved and what have you. We have a junior council person from our Selinsgrove School District, is that something to open a door for the university? Have somebody come down and, represent the university. Maybe that's a thought, So we talked about that, and so these are possibilities, but I think that's something that's doable. It shouldn't be a problem. It might not be my coin, but I'm sure you could steer us to the person in technology up there and take care of something like that.
Somebody who would be able to send out a university-wide email.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Paul, we found out a couple of years ago that our newsletters were going out to the residents, but not going out to people that were renters and business people. So we learned by listening and finding out that we don't cover everybody, and now we're trying to reach out and do that. So he's brought up some good points, and he did planning, and I think that's something we ought to pursue. But again, counting down would be another way to break the ice and get that going and get that set up too.
Well, I presume Mike Coyne, since he comes to most of the meetings, will be a good person to, I'm sure they have their own policies about what goes out to the students, what does not, but will you reach out and ask him to show?
Okay. Mr. Rennick, I have a couple other comments to offer. This weekend, you might see some posters around town, but on Friday night, there's an opportunity. It's put on by the Selinsgrove Chamber of Commerce. It's Meet the Artist. Some of I think 2 artists actually have some of their artwork displayed out in our lobby. And we're going to be, the artist is going to be at different venues in town to actually meet and see the artwork. That's Friday evening. Saturday is Tot Trap. So Saturday morning, the area high school should be busy. And that segment of the borough that where the actual route of the 5K run walk is taking place should be busy, perhaps up to midday. And then Sunday is Antiques on the Avenue. So it's a popular weekend in Selinsgrove, and the next weekend followed by the sold-out Hops, Vines and Wines Festival on University Avenue.
All right, thank you very much. What's going on?
I just follow up on the Tauntaun Trot. I was contacted again to welcome Tauntaun Trot to Selinsgrove. Unfortunately, I'm out of town that weekend, this coming weekend, so I contacted Marvin, and Marvin is going to represent the borough, to represent the to welcome the Tauntaun Trot to town.
Bring my running shoes and shorts.
Okay.
All right, if there's nothing else, we're going to recess the meeting at 7:50 p.m. for an executive session as requested by the solicitor. You can